Hi guys, thanks for joining me on Making with Marilyn. On an old video that I published some time ago, I made a pair of 2 layered earrings, but I didn't show in the video how I designed them in Cricut Design Space. Well, someone that watched the video asked if I would show how I designed them, and so that's what this video is going to be about. I'll design them in Cricut Design Space, and then my 2 layers will be this bright pink. This is called Lightweight Biker Chap, and I got it at Springfield Leather Company. You can buy it online through their store. And then the other layer will be some of this glitter faux leather that I got from Hobby Lobby. Both very inexpensive products. For this, I'm going to use my maker, but depending upon what you make your earrings out of, you could use your maker or another Cricut machine. I'll also use my strong grip mat. I have some strong grip transfer tape that I'll put sticky side up under the leather to protect my mat. I'll use my brayer, some extra insurance with this Scotch tape, my scissors, and then I'm going to use this punch tool tonight to punch the holes in my earrings. If you don't have this type of punch tool, maybe you have an old-fashioned punch set from scrapbooking. You can get this punch set or the punch tool off of Amazon. I'll link to both of those. And then I'll use some little needle nose pliers, some jump rings, and then some sterling silver fish hooks. So if you want to join me, grab your things, and let's get on with the video. Hey, I almost forgot to remind you, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, and then if you click the bell, select the all notification, and YouTube will notify you when I upload any new videos. Now, let's get on with the video. Okay, for these earrings, I'm going to start with a square. So I click on Shapes and then Square, and I want my square to be rotated. Let's go 45 degrees. And then I want the width to be, I'm going to start with 1.25 inches. And I want the height to be the same. I want to keep it a square. So I'll go ahead and keep the lock function on, which you can find right here or right here. We'll go ahead and make our screen larger. Okay, so that's part of the earring already. I'll click on Shapes again. Now this time I want a triangle. And I want to unlock the proportions. And I think I went with 1.25 here. So I want the width of this to also be 1.25. Now this is going to look super tall and thin, but I will change it. Okay, so for the height, let me just start with 2 inches. We can always adjust. Okay, so the basic way you make these earrings is by doing this. You take your square and your triangle, and you try to get the triangle so that the edges, the outside edges, line up just about with these 2 corners of the square. You might have to go back and forth a time or two, but that's okay. All right, so typically then we would select both images, click Align, and center horizontally. Then to see if it's lined up well, you would weld. And that looks perfect. Because I'm doing 2 layers, I want to go ahead and undo that weld. I just wanted to make sure it was going to look good right there. Okay, so this is going to be 1 layer. I'm going to duplicate it so that I can make the other layer. So the overall height is 2.6. So that can be my back layer. It will get shorter when I cut off part of this. But this will be my back layer, and this will be my front layer. So let me go ahead and click off of them so I'm just working with the top layer. I want to keep it at 1.25 wide, but for this one, I think I'll go 1.6 tall. Then, oh, I had it locked, so I'll unlock it and go ahead and make the width 1.25. Okay, that's better. So then the second layer would look like that. Let's go ahead and align that, center it horizontally, and then we can go ahead and weld our earrings now. Go back to the other layer and weld it. I just couldn't weld it before I changed the height of this top one, because what would happen? Let me show you what would happen. Let's say we went ahead and made this earring, and then I duplicated it, and then let's see, this one's 2.23. Okay, so then we changed the height, but not the width, so I unlock. We changed the height to 2.23. What would happen is the angle of this bottom part, because I shortened it, would no longer be the same angle as the other layer. And I want the two layers the same angle. So that's why I didn't weld this until after I made my second layer. Okay, we can get rid of that layer. Now I want to make the top rounded. Let's go ahead and change this layer to, let's just turn it, let's go pink. And then the back layer, let's go dark maroon. Now, to make the top rounded, here's what I do. Click on Shape, Circle. We're going to make this a really small circle. That looks pretty good. I have it at 0.127. I'm not real particular on exactly what it is, but just to get it to a more natural number, let's go 0.125. Okay, so we're going to set it up right toward the top of this earring. This is another thing. It might take 2 or 3 times to do this before it looks right. The first thing we'll do is we'll select both items, center horizontally. Okay, so I'm going to slice this. And when you slice this, for some reason, this little top piece kind of gets off, or the circle that we put back gets off, but bear with me. So we'll slice. See how it always looks like something's kind of moved, but I don't worry about it. Okay, I can go ahead, and I want to go over here to delete things because I do not want to move any of this pink layer. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to delete the gray layer. Then this pink layer, I want to keep it, but I'm going to hide it. Then I'll get a little square, just make it real small, and use it to slice off this top part that I don't want, because I don't want to move them to show you, but if I move this around, this is still one layer, and if I move this part, that's going to move. I can't erase just this. Now wait, let me try something. Can I contour it out? Well, lo and behold. Huh. Okay, so you can either contour it out like I did, or if I bring it back, a more permanent solution, which I probably would still stick with this more permanent solution, is just slice it off. Now, again, I don't want to move this at all, so I'm going to click on my box, delete it, and then there's going to be 2 layers here to delete. Okay, let's bring the little circle back now and see how it looks like it's off. We'll see what we get. Select both layers and weld. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to show you again on this layer, but to make it easier for me, I'm going to make this a little bit lighter. We'll get a circle again. Remember, I did 0.125. So we'll just make this one the same. Now let's blow this up so we can really see what's going on. Okay, I'm going to put it up toward the top. Now, while we're closed in, while we're so close, let's look at this. See, that looks a teeny tiny bit off. That will never show on your cut though, so I'm going to stick with it. Okay, I have both layers selected here. Actually, I don't. You can see my gray layer's not selected, so let me start over. Now they're both selected. You see both of them are gray. So we'll click Align, Center horizontally. So now let's slice. And over here, so that I don't accidentally move something, over here, I can select what I want to get rid of, hit the delete on my keyboard. I'm going to hide my circle so I keep it. Look at that. That's not very pretty. So 2 options here. Don't move it. Either hit contour and contour it out. Oh, let's see how that ends up being. Let me go ahead and just bring that back because I want to use the permanent solution. So I'll get a square. Okay, just put it right over that top part that you want to slice away. Select both layers, slice, and then just get rid of these 3 layers. All right, let's bring that circle back. Huh, interesting. Well, let's see what we get. If it doesn't look good, we'll start over. Okay, it looks fine though. I don't know why it does that kind of stuff once in a while, but it does. Now I want to bring the pink in the back. Get the right layer. Okay, I want to bring that forward. So I'm going to click on Arrange after selecting it and say Send to Front. Now, that's what our earring's going to look like. If you want the Cricut to put the hole in it, then make a little bitty circle somewhere around 0.07, 0.8 inches in diameter. Center it here, and then select both items and slice. But I'm going to punch my own holes, so I don't need to worry about that. Okay, just so I'm clear on what I'm doing. My layer is going to be white, so I'll go ahead and change that. And then the back layer, it's bright pink, so that red's close enough. I'll go ahead and select both shapes and duplicate, and now we're ready to cut. So we'll click Make It. We can start with the beautiful white, kind of iridescent, chunky glitter faux leather. And I'm going to put my cut so that it's 2 inches from the top and 2 inches from the left. And then I think I'll go ahead and turn this one over just to save a little bit of material. I can get it a little closer. I always like to leave some room in between so that there's room for the leather that's not getting cut away to stay stuck to the mat. Now for this layer, I'm going to use a bonded denim setting, and you'll see that in a minute. But when I go back to cut my second layer, my red layer, then I'll change my setting to genuine leather. All right, so let's go ahead and continue. Then I'll browse materials, and I'm just going to type in denim. And I want this bonded denim. So I'll click Done. Now, I need to make sure my fine point blade's in. I always clean it. And I'm going to stay with default pressure. It's just 1 layer, so I think I'll be fine. So I'll turn the camera angle around, and we'll watch it cut. Now, before we make our cut, I want to give you a better look at what we're working with. So this is the pink iridescent. I'll take the plastic wrap off so that you can see it a little better, but you get this at Hobby Lobby, and they sell it on these spools in the fabric section. Hopefully this comes through for the camera, but this is beautiful. And then the other layer is this bright pink, and again, that's called lightweight chap material, or lightweight chap leather from Springfield Leather Company. Now, I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just love their products. I really love to go into the shop and actually shop in person. All right, what I'm doing now is this is some strong grip Cricut transfer tape. And I like to put it sticky side up to protect my mat. Leather and materials like that can be really difficult on your mat. Plus, this glitter faux leather doesn't stick real well. And this mat is not a new mat. So this will help adhere it down as well. So remember, we were going to cut 2 inches down, 2 inches over. So I'll go slightly above and slightly to the left of that so I have room to tape it down. Now, I didn't stick my transfer tape down really well. I wanted to wait until I got my material on it. So give that a good braying. Then I like to use this super hold tape just for some extra insurance. The Cricut has to put so much force on materials that you can often find that with especially leather, sometimes it'll just want to push it around. And so it really needs to be stuck very well to your mat. Okay, so like always, I'm going to check my blade, make sure it's clean. And the light's flashing, so we're ready to load. Now, before I unload my material, I can check to make sure the cut went through. Okay, I'm pretty sure it did. It is staying stuck to my transfer tape, so it's not coming up. But I think I got a good cut. If not, then I've wasted a little material, but I think it's good. So we'll go ahead and unload it. Then I'm going to put my tape over here just off the side of my table so I can reuse that. Awesome. Now, if I'm really lucky, the transfer tape will stay down and I can just reuse it. But I don't think I'm going to be that lucky. Okay, actually I am. That stayed down. So there's my cut. Really, really nice cut. Now on this piece, that transfer tape wants to come up. Let me see if I can pull it from this other side and keep it down. Okay, that worked. It stayed down. So I'll just reuse this piece of transfer tape with my leather. Now on this chunky glitter, faux leather, sometimes the little glitter pieces don't cut all the way through, and you might have to just trim off some of that glitter. Not a big deal, but I just want you to be aware of that. Okay, so for my second layer, I'm going to put the cut in the same place, 2 inches down, 2 inches over. So I'll give myself just a little bit of extra room to get tape around it. And then, like I said earlier, I'm just going to reuse the tape that I pulled off. It's still in very good condition. Now, the last thing before I put this into the maker, I need to go back to my computer and change the setting to genuine leather. And then I'm sure I'll have to move my design down to the 2 inch down, 2 inch over mark. Now, when I changed my setting to genuine leather, it told me to use my deep point blade. So this is it. Make sure it's clean. Also, I move my earrings down, and then I flip the one on the right side over, again to save just a little bit of material. Okay, again, before I take my material out of my maker, or before I eject my mat out of my maker, I want to check the cut. Okay, that looks good. Okay. Now, to remove my genuine leather, I just want to pull my mat back and then just grab hold of that with my thumb, hopefully not having to use my fingernail, because you can scratch your leather, and then the Cricut transfer tape's still on the back. Or actually, I guess that's the front. So it's not hard to get off. You just kind of flick it a few times, try to pull down on it, and eventually it releases at the end, and you can just pull it off. Now, with leather, you often get a lot of these frays on the outside. There's a few things you can do to deal with these. The first thing is, you can take a really nice pair of scissors and from the back side, angled so you don't accidentally cut through the front, you can just trim those away. So I'm going to do that to fix most of my issues. Okay, that's not too bad. And some people aren't bothered by these, but I am. I can't stand them. Okay, I can do that on my own time. I want to talk about the second way. The second way that you can fix those is if it is a dark leather, like a super dark gray, dark brown, or black, then you might have seen me do this on some of my videos. You can take a lighter and from the back side, just very quickly burn those off. That works really nicely as long as you don't stay on it too long, that you melt it, or kind of make it curl. Like the first time I did it, I think I stayed on it too long. It was too hot, and the leather kind of contracted and it curled a little bit. Then the third thing that you can do is you can use a product like Tokonol, or I like this Toko Pro. It's a burnishing agent. And I have a huge jar of this, but I just keep refilling this small jar. And you can use something like a popsicle stick, or even just your finger. Some people just use the edge of their finger. But I'm going to dip down in there. I don't need that much. You can either put it on the entire back, which I often do, and then I use a little burnishing glass, or you can just put it on the edge. And if you get it on the edge, then I do usually just take my finger and rub it along there. Now on a finished piece of leather, not a veg tan leather, but a finished piece like this, you can just wipe it off the front. Now I try to be very careful. If I'm not putting it on the entire back, I try to be very careful that I don't accidentally get uneven amount on the back, because it is going to show up. Again, some people don't mind that, but I'm a little bit OCD. Now, I do want to warn you that in this case, there's a bunch of pink frays now on this popsicle stick. If I dip this back in my jar, I'm going to get some of those frays in the jar. So you want to be careful that you don't contaminate your good Toko Pro or Tokonol or whatever you're using with the frays that come off your earrings. So I'm just going to flip it over. Okay, so that cleaned up really nicely. I'm going to work on this other earring, and then we'll punch the holes for our hardware. Now, you could always change the size of these earrings. If you want your front layer to be more like that, you could just narrow your front layer up. But I wanted to cover pretty much the entire back layer, except having it stick out down here. So play around with your design, play around with the proportions, and just get it to where you like it. Originally, I was going to use this punch tool to punch the holes in these, but I think I made this too narrow up here. If I was going to use this punch tool, I should have had a bigger circle so that I'd have more width to work with there. So instead, I'm going to use one of the punches out of this punch set that I got off of Amazon. And it's a nice little set. I'll link to it below. This one has a really small hole. This is the 1.5 millimeter. So I'm going to use this. I want to do one layer at a time, and I want to start with my front layer. So to do this, you just place it where you want it. And I may have to go down, I think I'll go to the 1 millimeter. This makes a really tiny hole, but at least you can get it pretty close to the top because it is so small. So get it where you want it, then really get a good look before you whack it with your hammer, and then you just punch it with the hammer and it makes a nice hole. Then to get the punch out, you can just twist on it and pull up. So very nice clean hole. Now to get the hole in the second layer, what I'll do, and look how crisp that cut looks. Once you have that Tokonol on it or the Toco Pro on it, burnishing gum, whatever you want to use, they really are nice. So I'm going to place my first layer on my back layer. Get them lined up really nicely. Then I'm going to leave my top layer on, give it a little tap. Now I don't want to make the hole in my top layer any bigger, so I'll take it off and then just put my punch tool back where I see the indentation and give it another punch. Now, if I'm really lucky, I'll be able to just put a fish hook directly in these. I don't think I'm going to be that lucky, but we'll see. Now, these are sterling silver fish hooks. They're really, really nicely priced. I buy these off of Amazon as well. Now, the metal ends on my side, the side closest to me. So I want to take my needle nose pliers and twist up. I don't want to pull it apart. To preserve the integrity, you want to twist up and not make it bigger. So I'll put my first layer on and my second layer on. Hopefully they both fit. Okay, I think that's going to work out. We'll see once we get it closed back up. That is absolutely going to work. That is great. Now, it looks like I need to straighten out my hoop or the loop. I have it so far out in front of me so that the camera can see it that my old eyes can't quite see it. Okay, there's our first pair. We'll do the exact same thing on the other one. It can be a little bulky to work with 2 layers in your little bitty loop of your fish hook, but again, if you can get it to work directly on the fish hook, I think they hang so much nicer. And we are done. Here's our earrings, and they turned out really, really pretty. All right, thanks so much for joining me and sticking it out to the end. Until the next video, bye-bye.